Hey fam, and welcome to the Chrissy Tips Crypto Beginner's Guide. This is video 2 of this 25 video series. In today's video, I'll be helping you to gain an understanding of the basics of Bitcoin. I'll cover how it works, so things like blockchain, cryptography, mining, as well as the advantages and disadvantages of Bitcoin itself. In the last video, we covered the advantages and disadvantages of crypto as a whole, so I wanted to make sure to talk specifically about the granddaddy of crypto, Bitcoin. Now, I'm even going to break some things down into layman's terms for you so that the technical stuff is easy to understand. Now, I did not cover the process of buying, selling, and trading cryptocurrencies. That's covered in video 15 of the series. Well, should I be calling it a series or a course? I don't know. But as always, if you're here, you're interested. So let's get into it. Now, we've already answered the question, what is Bitcoin, in the first video, but let's have a look at it from a timeline standpoint in some simple terms as well, just for fun. Now, Bitcoin is like digital money, but different from the money we use every day. It was created in 2008 by a person or group of people who wanted to keep their identity secret, and they used the fake name Satoshi Nakamoto. Now, Bitcoin is the first type of money that isn't controlled by a government or a bank. Instead, it's controlled by a bunch of computers around the world. When people use Bitcoin, they can send it to each other without needing a bank for help. Now, this makes it easier for people who don't have a bank to use money. And fun fact about Bitcoin is that its creator, Satoshi Nakamoto, has never been publicly identified or verified. Despite being worth billions of dollars, Satoshi's true identity remains a mystery, leading to a bunch of speculation and intrigue amongst the cryptocurrency community. Now, the first time someone used Bitcoin was January 3rd, 2009, and this was considered the start of the Bitcoin network. The information about the first time someone used Bitcoin is saved on a special list called the blockchain. Now, this list is like a digital book that keeps track of all of the times that anybody has used Bitcoin. Bitcoin is available to anyone with an internet connection, making it more accessible from a financial services standpoint for people in unbanked areas or regions of the world or different countries or countries with weak economies. Bitcoin has inspired many of other types of digital money, and it continues to be very important and influential inside of the world of digital money. Now it's time for a fun fact. You know Laszlo, right? The guy who on May 22nd, 2010, offered to pay 10,000 Bitcoins for just 2 pizzas. Now, at the time, Bitcoin was not well known and its value was relatively low. So 10,000 Bitcoins was only worth enough for, the 2 pizzas. But Laszlo was able to find someone on a forum who was willing to take it off his hands, and they ordered the 2 pizzas to be delivered to his home and exchanged that for 10,000 Bitcoin. Now, May 22nd, 2010 has since been known as Bitcoin Pizza Day. It's actually celebrated annually by the cryptocurrency community as a nod to the pioneers who helped popularize and legitimize the use of Bitcoin as a currency. And then we have 2013. Bitcoin reached its first major price bubble, reaching $1,000 before it crashed back down to $200. But still, it reached that point. So it was created in 2008 by an unknown person or group. In 2009, the Genesis block where the first transaction took place. 2010, somebody named Laszlo purchased 2 pizzas for 10,000 Bitcoin. And in 2013, Bitcoin reached its first price bubble. Now let's answer the question, how does Bitcoin work? Bitcoin is a decentralized digital currency. It operates on a peer-to-peer network, meaning that the transactions can be made directly between users without the need of any intermediaries like banks or any government officials or authorities. Transactions are verified and processed through a consensus algorithm, meaning that multiple computers in the network must agree on the validity of a transaction before it can be added to the blockchain. The network is secured through cryptography, which makes it difficult for anyone to manipulate or counterfeit the currency. So now, what is blockchain? Well, the blockchain is the underlying technology that supports Bitcoin and other cryptocurrencies. The Bitcoin blockchain is a decentralized digital ledger that records all the transactions that are made using Bitcoin. It operates as a network of computers that all have a copy of the same transaction history, or the same ledger. Each block in the chain contains a list of recent transactions, and once a block is added to the chain, the information it contains is permanent and it cannot be altered, edited, modified, changed, or deleted. The blockchain uses cryptography to secure the transactions and prevent fraud. This technology is what makes Bitcoin a decentralized, trustless currency, as it allows users to directly transfer value without the need of a third-party intermediary like a bank. So we've all seen enough movies or read enough books to understand what counterfeiting is. It's when somebody goes in and they make a copy or a replica. Well, you can't really do that with this system. Or somebody's gone in and they've started stealing money from the books. They've made up numbers in the ledger so that their small incremental withdrawals go unnoticed. Well, with Bitcoin, you don't have that problem because it is a trustless currency, because everyone everywhere who's using Bitcoin can see every transaction on the blockchain. So there's no need for trust if everything is right in front of you. Like, trust your eyes, I guess, you know? Now, the blockchain itself is maintained by a decentralized network of users known as miners. The transparency and security of the blockchain makes it an important part of the infrastructure for the cryptocurrency ecosystem itself. Now, let's answer the question, how does cryptography work? Cryptography is a technique of secure communication that involves converting messages or information into an unreadable format called ciphertext. Now, this is to prevent unauthorized access. This process of converting the information into ciphertext is called encryption, and the process of converting it back into the original format is called decryption. Now, the encryption and decryption process is the number one reason why my team and I use Proton Mail. That's our primary email that we use for anything that's money related or anything that has any important information going into it. And it's because they use an encryption and decryption process to make sure that the information that we're sharing using that email service is always safe, secure, and only the senders and receivers are the ones who have access to that information. They can't even decrypt the information to read it. Now, cryptography is really nothing more than a tool for secure messaging. Back in the days before computers, cryptography was basically used as a secret language to prevent messages from being read in a situation where the message could have been intercepted by a third party or in war times by the enemy, right? Cryptography has been deeply rooted in Egypt and has been around since 2000 BC. Cryptography is used to protect sensitive information from being intercepted or altered by unauthorized parties, right? The use of mathematical algorithms and codes just ensures that only the intended recipients can access and read the original message. The funny thing is, cryptography is used in a bunch of everyday things that a lot of people just don't think about. Smartphones use it, computers use it, your banks and financial institutions use it. If you have cloud storage services, they use it. If you've ever participated in any electronic voting systems, that's another place where cryptography is used. Even wireless networks, right? Now, the image on the screen is just the process of encryption and decryption, and I wanted it to be a visual for you because I hope it makes sense. But just in case it doesn't, I'll explain it a different way. Now, when someone wants to make a transaction using Bitcoin, their computer sends the request to all the other computers on the network. The consensus algorithm then checks if the transaction is valid. It checks for things like, does this person have enough cryptocurrency to complete the transaction? It checks for double spending. It checks for proof of work. It also checks for like the blockchain's integrity to make sure that nothing's been tampered with. As long as all of this information is valid, the process keeps going. The transaction can then be completed and then added to the blockchain. So that's cryptography as it relates directly to Bitcoin. Now, let's talk a little bit about mining. Now, transactions on the Bitcoin network are verified and processed through a process called mining. Now, mining is the process of adding verified transactions to the blockchain and earning Bitcoin as a reward. Now, in mining, powerful computers compute to solve complex mathematical problems. And the first one to solve it is awarded a newly created Bitcoin. And the fees that are associated with that transaction that they verified. So they get the coin, they get the coin and they get the transaction, right? Now, it helps to keep the Bitcoin network secure, decentralized, and functioning smoothly. Okay, now here's a simple 5-step explanation of Bitcoin mining. So I hope this helps, because y'all know I'm all about breaking stuff down into simple terms for you. So what are these steps, right? The transaction is the step number 1. People send Bitcoin to each other, creating transactions that need to be verified and added to the blockchain, which is the public ledger of all Bitcoin transactions. Next is the grouping transaction step. These transactions are grouped together into blocks. Then we move on to the third step, which is solving a puzzle. Miners compete to solve a complex mathematical puzzle to validate the block of transactions and add it to the blockchain. Now, the rewards, okay? The miner who solves the puzzle first is rewarded with the newly created Bitcoins and the transaction fees. And then the last step is verification. Once a block is added to the blockchain, it's verified by other miners to ensure that it follows the rules of the Bitcoin network. Now it's question time. Have you already purchased your first cryptocurrency? If you have, what was it? Let me know in the comments below, or you can head over to the Instagram reel about this topic and leave a comment so we can keep the conversation going. And since you're already going to be on Instagram, please consider following me on Instagram as well as subscribing to my YouTube channel so that you can get more content like this. I'm Chrissy Pips on all social media. But moving right along, let's discuss what the disadvantages of Bitcoin are. Remember, in the last video, we did cryptocurrency. This is going to be Bitcoin specific. Now, Bitcoin has its limitations, including lack of consumer protection, risk of government interactions, and even the potential for security breaches. Additionally, the complexity of Bitcoin can make it difficult for new users to understand so that they can start to use the asset. Now, since we're all about transparency, here is a list of what I consider to be the top 4 most important disadvantages of Bitcoin that I like for everybody to keep in mind. Okay, and this is just my top 4. Okay, now number 1 is volatility. The value of Bitcoin can go up and down very quickly, which makes it a risky investment. This means that the value of Bitcoin could change a lot in a short amount of time, and you could end up losing some or all of your money. Now, number 2 is Bitcoin is not widely accepted yet. Although more and more businesses are starting to accept Bitcoin, it's still not as widely accepted as traditional currencies like dollars and euros. This means that you may not be able to use Bitcoin to buy everyday things. Let's touch on number 3, complexity of use. Using Bitcoin can be difficult for some, not all, but some people, especially if they're not tech savvy. So for example, if you lose your digital wallet or forget your password, you could permanently lose access to like all of your Bitcoin or all of your crypto. So the complexity is the thing, right? The 4th thing is regulation. Because Bitcoin is not controlled by any government or financial institution, there are some concerns about how it will be regulated in the future. Some countries have already started to put rules in place, but the situation is still evolving and is unclear as far as what the future actually holds for regulation in Bitcoin. Me personally, I'd absolutely love to have them call Satoshi Nakamoto to a public hearing to discuss regulating his creation or her creation or their creation. I'd love to see this happen. Now remember, it's always a good idea to do your own research and talk to a trusted financial advisor before making any big decisions regarding your money. These are just a few of the disadvantages of Bitcoin, but it's important to remember that there are also several advantages over traditional forms of currency, including lower transaction fees, increased security, and the ability to operate independently of governments and central banks. So again, here are what I consider to be the top 4 most important advantages of Bitcoin, and I'm trying to be impartial, okay? Now, number 1 is decentralization. Bitcoin operates on a decentralized network, making it resistant to censorship and control by any single entity. Bitcoin is not controlled by any single person or organization, which means that no one can manipulate the system or steal your money. And it's all public information because there's that public ledger that we keep talking about. Now, the second advantage is fast and inexpensive transactions, right? Now, with Bitcoin, you can send money to anyone, anywhere in the world very quickly and inexpensively. This is especially useful for people who live in countries where traditional banking services are not easily accessible, okay? Number 3 is Bitcoin is secure. Bitcoin is not impenetrable, but because Bitcoin transactions are recorded on a public ledger called the blockchain, it's very difficult for anyone to cheat the system or steal your money. The blockchain is like a big public notebook that everyone can see, so it's easy to spot if someone is trying to do something fishy, right? You can literally see the address your money went to and from. The notebook is accessible to anyone with an internet connection, and the transactions are recorded securely using cryptographic algorithms, making it nearly impossible to tamper with the records. So once they've been added to the blockchain, they're stuck. Now, the fourth advantage is Bitcoin solves the double spending problem. And I wanted to give you like a graphic on screen so you can kind of see and understand my explanation, okay? So the double spend problem, which is described as the difficulty of controlling or preventing the duplication of digital content, especially with regards to digital money. The distributed ledger helps Bitcoin solve this problem by confirming and rejecting transactions. This prevents buyers from making purchases in 2 different places with the same transaction ID. So the blockchain is a distributed ledger and is stored independently in tens of thousands of computers and nodes, right? And that's spread all over the world. So each node stores the entire history of transactions, and all nodes collaboratively update each other with new transactions and blocks as they're produced. So traditional finance systems solve this problem with employing third parties such as banks or payment processors and relying on the government to keep those third parties honest. And we all know how honest some of those third parties, even some of those first parties, but you didn't hear that here, right? But these are just a few advantages of Bitcoin, but it's important to remember that it is still a new technology and there's some risks involved too, right? So it's always a good idea to do your own research and talk to a trusted financial professional before making any big decisions about your money. You're going to hear me say that a lot because do your research, okay? So the bottom line is that Bitcoin is a decentralized digital currency that operates on a blockchain and offers several advantages over traditional forms of currency. While there are both advantages and disadvantages to Bitcoin, it's clear that this is a technology that will play a significant role in the future. So learn while you can. Learn because you want to, not because you have to. Now, attention to all aspiring cryptocurrency enthusiasts. Discover the world of cryptocurrency with my fully loaded video series. I've put together 25 informative and engaging educational videos. Everything that you need to know if you're looking to take a deep dive into the world of cryptocurrency. By the end of the video series, you'll be well versed in what crypto is, what it's used for, potential future applications of crypto. I've even included information on tokenomics and how to research projects before you even start investing. And the best part, the first 3 videos are free. So start your journey today and join the ranks of informed investors. Now for $99.97, you'll have access to all 25 videos and the knowledge you need to succeed in this exciting world of cryptocurrency investing. Now, this video series goes live March 1st, so don't miss out on this opportunity to join my community of crypto-savvy informed investors. That is going to wrap us up here, but thank you for watching and letting me help you gain an understanding of the basics of Bitcoin. Now remember, we dive deeper into the video series or course. I don't know what I'm going to call it yet, but it's out March 1st. Just as a sneak peek of what's in store, inside of the course, I'll be covering the concepts of initial coin offerings and security token offerings, understanding the role of mining in the cryptocurrency ecosystem, how to research crypto projects before you invest, the importance of security and how to protect your cryptocurrency investments, the concepts of, well, you know what? That's enough spoiling for now. If you have any questions or would like to learn more about this exciting and rapidly growing asset class, you can email me at learningwithchrissy@ChrissyPips.com or just message me on Instagram. I'm Chrissy Pips on all social media. Now, if you feel like this information is going over your head, please consider becoming a student and joining my team. But until next time, I hope you're having an absolutely amazing morning, afternoon, or evening, wherever you are in the world. And I'll see you in the next video. Bye.